Your skin just did something. Not now, maybe. But it has. Thousands of times in your life, without you asking, without you deciding, your skin has done this specific thing. The hair on your arms stands up. Tiny bumps appear across the surface. Your body tightens in a particular way that lasts a few seconds and then disappears. You didn't choose it. You can't stop it when it starts. You can't make it happen when you want it to. It just happens. To you. Without your permission. And here's what's strange about that. Goosebumps don't do anything. They don't protect you from cold in any meaningful way. They don't make you faster or stronger. They don't help you fight or run or think. By every measurable standard, they are a completely useless physical response. And yet your body has been producing them automatically your entire life. So why? The answer is that goosebumps aren't for you. They never were. They are a message from a version of you that existed millions of years ago. A creature covered in thick body hair who needed this response desperately. That creature is gone, but the reflex stayed. And your body still fires it faithfully every time the conditions are right. Even though the conditions haven't been right for millions of years, you are receiving messages from the dead. Let's start with what actually happens when you get goosebumps. Beneath every hair on your body is a tiny muscle. It's called the arrector pili, Latin for something close to that which raises the hair. When your nervous system sends a signal, triggered by cold, by fear, by sudden loud noise, by a piece of music that hits something wordless inside you. These muscles contract simultaneously across your entire body, every single one, at once. The contraction pulls the base of each hair follicle slightly downward, which pushes the skin around it slightly upward, creating the characteristic bump. The hair stands up. The bump appears. The whole thing happens in under a second. It's one of the most coordinated involuntary responses in the human body. Hundreds of thousands of tiny muscles firing in unison, triggered by a signal you didn't consciously send. And it does absolutely nothing useful in humans. Because here's where the story gets interesting. In animals with thick fur, dogs, cats, bears, primates, almost every mammal you can think of, this same reflex serves two critical purposes. The first is insulation. When an animal with thick fur gets cold, the arrector pili muscles contract, raising the fur away from the skin. This traps a layer of warm air between the fur and the body. The same principle behind a down jacket or a wool sweater. The raised fur creates an insulating pocket that keeps body heat in. The effect in a furry animal is significant. It can meaningfully reduce heat loss. It is, in the right animal, a genuinely useful physiological response to cold. In a human, an animal that lost most of its body hair somewhere between 1 and 3 million years ago, the same response produces tiny, barely visible bumps on nearly hairless skin. The insulation effect, essentially zero. The body still sends the signal. The muscles still fire, but there's nothing there to do the job. The second purpose is more dramatic. When an animal with thick fur is threatened, when a predator appears, when a rival approaches, when something triggers the fear response, the arrector pili muscles contract across the entire body simultaneously. The fur stands on end. The animal appears larger, sometimes significantly larger. This is threat display. The animal is making itself look bigger than it is, using nothing but the physics of raised fur and the optical illusion it creates. Cats are the most familiar example. When a cat is frightened, it puffs up, fur standing on every surface of its body, tail inflated to twice its normal size. A small cat can look considerably larger in a moment of fear. This isn't decorative. This is survival. A predator that thinks the prey is larger than expected might hesitate. That hesitation is sometimes the difference between life and death. Chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, do this too. When a chimpanzee is threatened or threatening, its hair stands on end. This makes chimps look markedly more imposing. Researchers have noted that piloerection, the technical term for hair standing on end, can make a chimpanzee look significantly larger to a rival or predator. Now look at your arm. When you're scared or cold, you get goosebumps. The muscles fire, the hair attempts to stand up. The reflex is identical to what happens in a chimpanzee or a cat, but you have almost no body hair. So instead of looking larger and more threatening, you just get tiny bumps on your arms for a few seconds. The ancient machinery is still running. It just has nothing to run on. This is what biologists call a vestigial response. a physiological feature that was once functional and has since become useless because the conditions it evolved to address no longer exist. Like wisdom teeth, which evolved when our ancestors needed to grind tough vegetation and now just cause pain and infection. Like the palmaris longus muscle in the forearm, which was used for climbing and is now simply present in most people, doing nothing. Goosebumps are the arrector pili reflex with nothing to show for it. The machinery of an ancient body still faithfully responding to signals, still doing its job, but the body it was built to serve is gone. Now, here's where the story becomes genuinely interesting. Because goosebumps don't only happen in the cold or in fear, they happen with music, they happen with beauty, they happen in moments of profound emotional experience when something breaks through the ordinary surface of consciousness and reaches something deeper. Researchers call this specific experience frisson, from the French word for shiver. It's the chill that runs up your spine when a piece of music builds to something overwhelming. It's the hair-raising sensation at the end of a film that catches you off guard. It's the feeling that moves through your body when someone says something that lands with unexpected weight. And frisson produces goosebumps, which raises a question. Cold makes sense. The insulation reflex fires. Fear makes sense. The threat display reflex fires. But music, but beauty, but emotional intensity? Why does your skin respond to a song? The leading theory connects frisson to the same neural pathways that process fear and surprise. The same systems that originally drove the cold and threat responses. When something unexpected and powerful enters consciousness, the body's arousal systems activate. The sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight system, sends a burst of activity through the body. And part of that burst fires the arrector pili. The goosebumps that come with music are the fear response, misfiring beautifully in a context for which it was never designed. You're not afraid of the music, but your ancient nervous system, built over millions of years to respond to sudden intensity, doesn't always distinguish between a threat and a moment of overwhelming beauty. Both trigger the same cascade, both produce the same bumps. This means that when a piece of music gives you goosebumps, you are experiencing, in miniature, the same physiological response your ancestors felt when a predator appeared in the dark. The same muscles, the same signal, the same ancient reflex, just aimed at something that would have made no sense to the creature it was designed for. There's one more layer worth considering. Not everyone gets frisson. Research suggests that somewhere between 55 and 86% of people experience it at all, a surprisingly wide range. Among those who do, the intensity varies enormously. Some people barely notice it. Others describe it as one of the most intensely physical experiences they have from music. And the people who experience frisson most intensely tend to score higher on a personality trait called openness to experience, a measure of curiosity, imagination, and sensitivity to aesthetic and emotional stimulation. People who are more open to the world around them, more attuned to its textures and depths, seem to be more susceptible to the ancient reflex misfiring in the presence of beauty. Which means that if music regularly gives you goosebumps, it's not just a quirk of your nervous system. It's a signal about how you're wired, how open you are, how much of the world you're letting in. The bumps on your arms in that moment are telling you something about yourself that 3 million years of evolutionary history produced by accident. You didn't ask for any of this. The reflex wasn't designed for you. The creature it was built for is long gone. But here you are, in a heated room, in no danger, listening to a song, and the ancient machinery fires anyway, raising hair that isn't there, signaling a threat that doesn't exist, making you look larger to a predator that vanished 3 million years ago, and somehow in the process producing one of the most distinctly human experiences there is.